What if I told you that the premium fish you're paying extra for, the one recommended for heart health and brain function, is actually accelerating memory loss and worsening joint pain in older adults? It sounds hard to believe. After all, fish has always been praised as a go-to food for sharper thinking and a stronger heart. But recent findings tell a far more concerning story for seniors. In 2023, a joint report by the FDA and EPA revealed a troubling rise in mercury levels across several popular fish. Not exotic, hard-to-find species, but the same kinds sitting in your neighborhood grocery store, neatly packaged and labeled Heart Smart. While younger adults can clear mercury more easily, aging bodies process toxins less efficiently. Mercury lingers longer, interfering with brain function, weakening the immune response, and increasing joint pain. And there's something else worth knowing. Some of these fish interact dangerously with common medications, especially blood thinners and cholesterol drugs. If senior health is important to you, or you're simply trying to make wiser food choices, knowing what to avoid could make all the difference. By the end of this video, you'll discover 6 fish older adults should steer clear of and 6 safer, smarter alternatives that support memory, joint comfort, and heart strength without hidden risks. Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Vernon, and for over 25 years, I've specialized in nutrition for seniors, helping thousands of older adults make smarter food choices that support cognitive function and overall wellness. What I'm about to share might surprise you, even shock you, because some of the fish we've been told are premium and healthy are actually among the worst choices for senior health. In the next few minutes, you'll learn why certain popular fish can damage brain health as you age, how mercury contamination affects older adults differently than younger people, which 6 fish are silently contributing to cognitive decline and joint pain, and most importantly, the healthy fish alternatives that genuinely support longevity. This isn't about fear, it's about empowerment. Because once you know which fish truly support senior health and which ones don't, you gain control over how you'll feel tomorrow, next month, and years from now. Before we dive in, click that subscribe button so you won't miss future senior nutrition tips that could make a meaningful difference in your health. And hit that notification bell. Your future self will thank you. Fish number 1, king mackerel, the brain fog culprit hiding in plain sight. Let's start with a fish that's often recommended for heart health, but is actually a significant threat to senior health: king mackerel. Richard was 72 when he began experiencing tremors and unexplained memory lapses. His doctor initially suspected early Parkinson's, but blood tests revealed something else entirely: dangerously high mercury levels. The culprit? The king mackerel he'd been grilling twice weekly, believing it was supporting his heart health. Here's what makes king mackerel so problematic for older adults. It contains some of the highest mercury concentrations of any commercial fish. While younger bodies can process some mercury, aging kidneys and liver function can't clear these toxins efficiently. The FDA and EPA have specifically warned that king mackerel should never be consumed by vulnerable populations, including older adults. The mercury it contains directly targets the central nervous system and can accelerate cognitive decline, precisely what seniors are trying to prevent. A 2022 study in the Journal of Neurology found that older adults with elevated mercury levels showed a 37% faster rate of memory loss compared to those with lower levels. That's not just statistics. That's the difference between reminding your grandson's names at 80 or struggling to recognize them. Instead of king mackerel, choose wild-caught salmon. It's significantly lower in mercury, while offering comparable omega-3 fatty acids that truly support brain health and reduce inflammation associated with joint pain. If this information has you thinking twice about what's on your plate, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You won't want to miss future videos that help you make smarter, healthier choices every day. And while king mackerel often gets flagged for its mercury levels, there's another fish that slips through much more quietly. It looks clean, elegant, even heart-friendly, but it carries risks that most older adults never see coming. Fish number 2. Swordfish. The clean protein that isn't so clean. Swordfish is often considered a clean, heart-smart protein, especially for older adults trying to cut back on red meat. It's lean, packed with protein, and shows up on plenty of health-conscious menus, often with words like simple, elegant, or doctor-approved printed beside it. But here's the issue. Swordfish is also one of the highest mercury fish in the ocean. And for seniors, that makes a real difference. Unlike younger adults, older bodies don't eliminate mercury efficiently. It sticks around longer, gradually disrupting sleep cycles, raising blood pressure, and triggering low-grade inflammation that wears you down over time, even if you can't always feel it right away. I once worked with a woman named Eleanor who had been eating swordfish twice a week, thinking it was helping her heart. Over time, her energy dipped, her sleep grew restless, and mornings felt stiff and foggy. Her meals looked clean, but her symptoms didn't. We swapped the swordfish for Pacific Sardina smaller, low-mercury fish loaded with omega-3s, calcium, and vitamin D. And within weeks, her sleep improved, her energy steadied, and the stiffness began to fade. Scientific studies back up what we saw in her case. A 2020 study in environmental research found that adults over 60 with elevated mercury levels had worse sleep, higher oxidative stress, and an increased risk of hypertension even when they believed they were eating healthy. So yes, swordfish looks elegant on the plate. But for older adults focused on brain and heart health, it's a fish best left off the menu. Have you ever followed a popular health tip that didn't work for you? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear how your experience challenged the conventional wisdom. We've uncovered the risks of swordfish, but there's another fish that's often overlooked, Bigeye tuna. Let's explore why this seemingly harmless option could be more dangerous than you think. Fish number 3. Bigeye tuna, a silent strain on the aging heart. In 2019, a multi-country study published in Toxicology Reports revealed a troubling pattern. Older adults who ate high-mercury fish more than once a week had a 52% increase in cardiovascular irregularities, including elevated blood pressure and arrhythmias. Among the top culprits, Bigeye tuna, often sold as ahi steaks or sashimi. Tuna has a healthy reputation, and it's deserved for talking about skipjack or canned light tuna. But Bigeye is a different story. It's larger, older, and carries much more mercury. I worked with Miguel, a 74-year-old retired contractor who prided himself on clean eating and staying active. He grilled tuna steaks multiple times a week, believing it was a smart habit. But gradually, he noticed subtle issues: chest tightness, lightheadedness, and occasional heart flutters. His cardiologist adjusted medications, but the symptoms remained until we reviewed his meals. Bigeye tuna sits high on the marine food chain, meaning it absorbs mercury from other fish and passes it on. In older adults, mercury can disrupt electrical signals in the heart, worsen blood pressure control, and interfere with common cardiac medications. Miguel's mercury levels were nearly twice the safe limit for his age. We replaced the tuna with Atlantic mackerel, a smaller fish with minimal mercury but rich in omega-3s. Within weeks, his energy improved, his heartbeat stabilized, and the heaviness he'd felt after meals was gone. When we talk about senior health, the question isn't just, is it healthy, but is it still right for your body now? Age changes the rules. That's not failure, it's biology. In nutrition for seniors, we don't just follow food trends. We follow what supports the brain, heart, and daily comfort of an aging body. So, the next time you see a slice of seared ahi on the menu, take a moment to consider. It may look clean and wholesome, but for an aging heart, it could be quietly doing harm. If these insights have made you pause and rethink a few choices, that's already a good first step. And if someone you care about could benefit from this too, feel free to pass it along. Give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the rest of this important series. Because not every threat to your health comes from deep-sea giants like tuna or swordfish. But not every danger comes from deep-sea giants. Sometimes, the bigger risk is hiding in something far more familiar, especially when it looks clean, affordable, and easy to cook. Fish number 4. Imported catfish. The clean choice that isn't. Have you ever chosen fish based on price or convenience, thinking, it's just catfish, how bad could it be? Catfish feels like a safe choice. It's affordable, mild in flavor, and easy to prepare, especially when it's sold frozen, boneless, and labeled farm-raised. But not all catfish are created equal. In the US, wild or domestically farmed catfish are subject to safety regulations. But today, more than 90% of catfish in supermarkets is imported, mainly from countries with weaker oversight, especially Vietnam and China. That's where problems begin for older adults. These fish are often raised in overcrowded, poorly filtered ponds, with extensive use of antibiotics, some of which are banned in the US. Residue from these drugs can remain in the flesh and interfere with medications, including blood thinners, statins, and certain diabetes treatments. I once worked with Nora, 70, who switched to catfish for its lower cost. She cooked it simply pan-fried with greens, no added salt. But within a few months, her blood pressure spiked, and she developed fatigue and digestive issues. Her doctor suspected a drug interaction, but it wasn't until we traced the fish's origin that the issue became clearer. A 2022 study in the Journal of Food Quality found that nearly 30% of imported catfish samples contained veterinary drug residues not approved for human consumption. They may not trigger symptoms right away, but in seniors, especially those on multiple prescriptions, these trace amounts can lead to metabolic strain and inflammation. We replaced Nora's imported catfish with wild-caught coda, mild, nutrient-rich whitefish that's low in contaminants. Her symptoms eased within a few weeks, and her medication schedule stayed steady without further changes. If you've been buying bargain fish that looks clean and comes with clever packaging, it's worth taking a closer look at the label. When it comes to senior health, safety isn't always obvious, and what affordable looks now may cost more later. Have you ever checked where your fish was farmed or packaged? Leave a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear what you found. What you see on the label doesn't always reflect how a fish was raised or how it affects your health. And that brings us to a fish often praised by doctors themselves, yet misunderstood in ways that can quietly backfire. Fish number 5. Farmed salmon. When doctor approved isn't senior safe. Many older adults follow advice like eat more salmon, without realizing that not all salmon is created equal. Have you ever noticed how the same advice can mean different things depending on who's receiving it? Eat more salmon sounds like a smart, heart-friendly recommendation. And for the most part, it is. But not all salmon is the same, and for older adults, that difference matters more than many realize. In grocery stores, Atlantic salmon often looks clean, affordable, and healthy. But most of it is farmed, raised in crowded offshore pens overseas under very different conditions than wild salmon. These fish are fed grain-based pellets and routinely treated with antibiotics, dyes, and chemicals to survive in low-quality water. Some of these substances stay in the fish, making their way to your plate. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to inflammation, hormone changes, and medication effects. The kind of fat we eat, especially the balance between omega-3 and omega-6, plays a much bigger role than it did when we were younger. A 2022 review in Frontiers in Nutrition found that some farmed salmon had 5 times more omega-6, reduced omega-3 quality, and traces of PCB toxins linked to immune and hormone issues in older adults. I worked with Harold, 76, who followed his doctor's advice. He ate salmon several times a week, whatever was on sale. Within months, his joints ached, his cholesterol went up, and his energy dropped. We made one change: switched to wild-caught Alaskan salmon once or twice a week. Soon, his blood work improved, joint stiffness eased, and he felt more like himself again. So yes, eat more salmon is good advice. But for senior health, it only works when the salmon supports your body, not burdens it. And if you've ever followed advice that didn't quite match how your body responded, share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else catch what they've been missing. If you've been paying close attention so far, don't stop now. The next fish is the most dangerous of them all, precisely because no one's talking about it. Most older adults have eaten it without knowing, and that silence is what makes it so risky. Fish number 6. Tilefish. The most dangerous fish no one warns you about. Tilefish is the kind of fish that never knocks yet somehow ends up on your plate and in your bloodstream. It's one of the worst choices an older adult can make when it comes to seafood. Tilefish has mercury levels higher than swordfish, king mackerel, or bigeye tuna, yet few people even recognize the name. That's what makes it so dangerous. Tilefish often hides in frozen whitefish, blends, or appears on menus without being called out directly. It's not a name you'll hear often, but it's one you absolutely need to know. Unlike other fish that get at least some attention, tilefish slips under the radar, quietly accumulating mercury in your system over time, and for older adults, that's especially risky. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at clearing toxins like mercury, which can lead to brain fog, elevated blood pressure, joint stiffness, and chronic fatigue. According to data from the EPA, tilefish can reach 3.7 parts per million of mercury, 10 times the safe limit for older populations. But because it isn't well known, most people never think to avoid it, or even know they've eaten it. I once worked with a retired couple who made seafood stew from a generic frozen mix. They thought it was a clean, low-fat meal, but when we checked the ingredients, the tilefish was right there. Both had been struggling with memory issues and inflammation they couldn't explain, until they stopped eating it. A far safer alternative is herring, a small, oily fish that's low in mercury and rich in omega-3s. It supports brain health, improves cardiovascular resilience, and helps reduce inflammation in aging joints. Over the past few minutes, we've explored 6 types of fish that older adults are better off avoiding, not because fish itself is harmful, but because not all fish are created equal, and for aging bodies, that distinction becomes more important than ever. Here's a quick look back. King mackerel, with sky-high mercury levels that quietly undermine memory and joint function. Swordfish, elegant on the plate, yet disruptive to sleep and blood pressure. Bigeye tuna, often served as ahi, placing strain on the heart. Imported catfish, budget-friendly but often laced with drug residues that interfere with medications. Farmed salmon, widely recommended but loaded with inflammatory fats and reduced nutrient quality. And tilefish, the most dangerous of all, precisely because so few people recognize it. But this isn't about fear, it's about awareness and choice. Because when you know what to avoid, you create more space for what truly nourishes you. Fish like wild salmon, sardines, herring, cod, and Atlantic mackerel aren't just safer, they actively support sharper thinking, a steadier heart, and healthier joints. That's the kind of nutrition that supports real senior health, not just on paper, but in how you feel day to day. As always, if you're thinking about changing your diet, especially if you're managing health conditions or taking medications, please consult your healthcare provider first. This video is meant to support your well-being and complement professional guidance, not replace it. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you eaten any of these 6 fish regularly, and did any of them surprise you today? Leave a comment below and share your experience. You never know who might benefit from your story. And if this video gave you something to think about, consider giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, and turning on the bell so you won't miss what's next in our Nutrition for Seniors series. And when you're ready to keep building a stronger, healthier body, check out our follow-up video, Weak Bones After 60. These 7 foods contain more calcium than milk for seniors. It's a simple way to get more of the calcium your bones need without depending on milk.